Hey, what is up everyone? It's Mulan Pleased today with my video on the Junction. So let's get started. To begin with, I'll start explaining some drops depending on the amount of teams you have landing with you. So if you only have one team, then you can definitely contest the main junk itself. I'd recommend landing in this general area where you can grab this chest and then break into the building, hit some brick piles, and then pretty quickly loot this main building. This main building is the most stacked and it's also pretty high up there. So you can farm your mats pretty efficiently, and if other teams land elsewhere in the junk, then they're going to be pretty cornered since they won't have as much space to move around, and you'll be able to pretty much just control whichever side they don't land on. But more likely than not, they'll be landing here, so you'll be able to have this whole backside and then just have one player pressuring them here. Next, if there's two or more duos, then I'd recommend trying to take these outer buildings instead of landing at the main junk. This allows you to pretty easily farm some efficient materials in the forms of the trucks and the wood pallets, as well as wood in here and whatnot. And then you can also just third party these guys whenever they're done with their fight. If you guys find yourself being completely uncontested, then I'd also recommend sending one person here and then one person here. This will prevent baller players from trying to steal loot from this area, as well as reduce the total amount of looting. Since Junction is so big, there's this building, the llama, this building, there's one chest here, and then one vending machine here that you definitely don't want to skip. So in order to make sure that you can control your territory, then just try to send one person here and then just send one to the main junk so that they can farm their hard mats and whatnot. Next, we'll be talking about what's pretty good about junk. So obviously there's pretty efficient metal in the form of the truck beds and then the RVs, as well as RVs here. So even though there is inefficient metal like with these car piles, you don't necessarily need to hit those if you know you're being uncontested. Also, you have pretty much a guaranteed quad spawn just because of the sheer amount of them. You'll see the number in the summary picture at the end of this segment, and then also you can get max mats from hitting the brick walls or these brick piles. These brick piles are pretty efficient, but I'm not sure how long it's going to stay here because, I mean, Fortnite changes so often, so I didn't really want to include the fact that this efficient brick is here for future longevity. Some things that are average about this spot is that there's some mushroom spawns here. Not too many, but pretty much like in lieu of a mini, I think it could suffice. Obviously, there's a bunch of brick walls that you can farm, which aren't the fastest, but will get the job done for getting your max brick. And then there's two vending machines, one inside the main junk itself and then one out here like I mentioned. As for what's not so great about this place is the fact that there's no campfires, so the closest one will be here though, and then you'll just have to take a quad to one that you'll know the location of already. Tyler and Lene do this all the time so that they can spend more time looting if they need to, and then they just quad and then land on a campfire wherever they need to get to zone. Also, like I already mentioned, the fact that the loot is spread out is doubly bad, I guess, if you consider the fact that this is edge of map, so when the storm pushes, it's going to be pretty quick, so you're going to be either tanking the storm or have to find a really efficient way to loot everything. As for the playstyles that I believe is most prevalent in Junction, firstly, there's obviously a shotgun importance, since many of the fights can be in buildings or under buildings, like here, so it's going to require some close quarter combat, of course, and then if fights draw too long, let's say there's a duo that lands here while you guys land here, then it's probable that a build fight will occur if these guys decide to fight you. However, ideally they won't, since that's not a very smart play considering where the edge of the map is, so just make sure you keep that in mind to also not engage these guys unless you think that it's a smart fight for you guys to take based on like maybe an early AR tag that breaks shield or reveals that they don't have shield. Something like that, you know, a snipe maybe. As for the streamers I mentioned, all of them have their VODs on Twitch viewable without being subscribed, so that's nice, and then they've also all qualified for World Cup in their respective regions. Overall, I honestly think this spot's pretty good, so I'm rating it a 9 out of 10. The only thing that I think is not the best is just the fact that it's edge of zone, and so you're going to maybe spend some more time looting than you would really want to, but like I was saying, just memorize the forged campfire locations and then land there with a quad and you'll be good to go. That's pretty much all I have for this video. If you enjoyed it, then leave a like and subscribe. Thanks very much.